Who was Helene Hadsell, and did she really break the matrix? My name's Carolyn Willman, and I've been blessed with maintaining this remarkable woman's legacy. I've seen a lot of videos of other people sharing her stories, but they're using a picture I never thought was her, and I finally did a bit of digging. So who is this imposter? And did Helene really break the matrix? Let's dig into the myths and truths of Helene Hadsell. Let's begin. This is a picture of Helene Hadsell that I found in the remains of her business files when I went in 2022 to claim them. But this is the picture of the woman that I've seen all over the internet, and I bet you've seen it too. And this isn't Helene. Now, why did people like Vishen Lakhiani and others think it's Helene? I sent the picture to Dyke, and the text message I got back was not no, but hell no. In other words, that's not his mom. So if that's not Helene Hadsell, who was she, and why does everybody think it's her? Well, here's what I found out. The truth about the real Helene Hadsell. This is Helene when she was 18 years old in 1942. And don't you love that picture with her and Pat Hadsell? What a great photograph. And when I did some digging, this is Helen Agnes Hadsell Hall, who was born in 1912 and died in 1995. Now, we all know that Helene Hadsell died in 2010. So right off the bat, I know this isn't her. But another thing you may not know is when you see a name in brackets, that's a maiden name. Helene was born Helen Barbara Deschelle in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Her parents were George Deschelle and Catherine Anna Fisher. She married Patrick Hoskins Hadsell. So that's how she went from Deschelle to Hadsell. And she had 3 kids, Patricia, Dyke, and Chris. Now, here's the differences between the 2 women and how we know one isn't the other. One was born Helen Barbara Deschelle. The other one was Helen Agnes Hadsell. One was born in 1924 and passed away in 2010. The other was 1912 and died in 95. Did Helene really bend reality? No, she did not. And I knew this one was coming. Helene used the universal laws accessible to all of us. The truth is, she mastered the law of attraction, and you can too. If you head over to my website and you click on her name, you will find a recommended reading list of all the teachers she learned from to master the law of attraction and other universal laws. Because we're all one, we can all tap into the universal consciousness, and there's many different techniques to do so. And one of them is learning from her in her books. Now, when she wrote the Name It and Claim It game, the first edition came out in 1971, and there was no SPEC in it. She had a 3-step technique, very similar to the other famous 3-step technique, ask, believe, receive. So hers was select a goal, never entertain doubts, and you can con yourself into anything. And those were the steps she used to win her famous Formica home. But Helene loved her wordplay. Now in 2009, she came out with her 4-step manifesting technique. Select it, project it, expect it, collect it. And it sounds pretty close to what she did in 1971. Let's go over each step. Select it, be specific with your goal. And this is the step that you actually should spend the most time on, because if you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it? Right? And how many times have you manifested something and you go, oh, that's kind of what I wanted, but not exactly, because you weren't specific enough. Okay? Project it as envision it as if it's already done. Okay? And I know some people have aphasia, So you can journal it, you can vision board it, you can talk it into voice notes. You don't actually have to see it in your mind's eye if you can't. It's the feeling that you're going after, not necessarily the seeing. Bonus if you can see it in your mind's eye. Expected is assuming the end result. This is very Neville Goddard. And if you struggle with expected, you might want to look at his work. And collected is not just receiving it, but also taking action. She wanted to win all those prizes, but if she just sat in her house and manifested and envisioned all these prizes showing up, but didn't enter a single giveaway, she wasn't going to win. She had to actually enter all the giveaways to win all those prizes. She had to take action. So now I've seen some of the videos and they had some errors in them about the timeline of her winning the house. And I was blessed enough to be in Irving and took this photograph of her house. Now, many of the videos say she won the house in 69, but she didn't. She actually won it in 65. And Dyke told me it took him almost a year to complete the house. Now, some people say that I should be giving credit to Jose Silva for teaching her these techniques, and that's how she won the house. But she actually didn't meet Jose Silva until several months after she moved into the house. They didn't move into the house until the summer, and she met him that fall. And then that New Year's Eve, she had a near fatal car accident and used the stop the bleeding technique she learned from Jose Silva just months before. So now how do I know that she was actually the winner of this? Well, I have the paperwork. So this I did find in Helene's files. Sadly, I didn't have any of her journals. There wasn't any winning letters from other prizes, things like that. Like I kept a box for a long time, and I have an email folder on my computer with all the winning notifications. But I wasn't lucky enough to find anything. Now remember, this is how I know she got it in 1965, because it's from the Formica Corporation and it's dated. Where's the date? I just saw the date. November 29, 1965. Okay. And it goes on to talk about they got lots 2 and 3 in block 2 and all improvements constructed therein in the University Hills edition, first increment, Irving, Dallas County, Texas. Now it's interesting because it was originally 2712 and 2716 Mesa Street. So their house ended up being on 2 plots of land. And as you can see, it is quite big. One's on a hill. The front of the house is on a hill, and then the back. And all matters whatsoever in any way concerning directly or indirectly the so-called Formica World's Fair house. I mean, how cool is that? Now, remember, this is 1965. So how do I know that moved in 66? Well, one, Dyke told me, so why wouldn't I believe him? Second of all, I have the land transfer. Now, she didn't get the house for free because I believe just as when you sell a car to a family member and you just want to gift it to them, but when you go to the DMV or wherever you register cars in your country, in Canada, it's the same as the US. You have to have some monetary value. So you usually sell it to somebody for $1 because it gives them a number on paper. So they paid $10 for the house because it says for and in consideration of the sum of $10, cash in hand paid. They paid cash for the house and other good and valuable considerations, the receipt of which is hereby acknowledged. Okay, and it goes on like it is pages. But it talks about the agreement in November 29, 1965. And it goes on, we, Helen B. Hadsell and Pat H. Hadsell, and each of us further warrant that the Formica has completely discharged all of its duties and responsibilities owed to either of us, and for said consideration, we and each of us agree to identify and hold harmless the Formica Corporation from any and all claims demands, actions, and causes of action which may be brought against Formica Corporation in connection with said agreement of, and it goes on. And then it goes all the way down here, and you can see signed and executed in Irving, Texas on this 27th day of July, 1966. And then at the bottom it says, before me, the undersigned authority on this day personally appeared Pat H. Hadsell and Helen B. Hadsell, his wife, both known to me to be persons whose names are subscribed, and the foregoing instrument acknowledged to me that they executed the same for the purposes, and it goes on. And so that's their witness, is the notary. It's very hard to see. It's very hard to see, but there is a stamp there, an embossing to prove that it was the notarized house. So they did, in fact, win the house. And that was them at the groundbreaking. And that was the house in 2022. And when I went back in 2024, I did manage to speak to the owners. And unfortunately, a couple of years prior, there had been a fire, and there's almost virtually no Formica left in the house. That's kind of sad. So there was a little bit saved, but the house has been completely remodeled inside. It is beautiful. They gave me a bit of a tour, and the fireplace is still remaining. But the other thing that I want people to remember is that Helene wrote the Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage because she wanted people to understand that life isn't a smooth ride. In her book, she talks about a car accident she had that nearly killed her, the one that I just spoke about at New Year's Eve. Later in life, she had another accident that put her, in a cast. And another time, she had a cancer scare. She had friends pass away. They had pets die. I mean, it's just life. This is the road of life, and we need to embrace all of it. And she wanted to make sure people understood that just because she won all these prizes didn't opt her out of life. And even though she had these challenges, she never called them challenges or problems. She called them projects or assignments, because she said she was here on Earth School and she always had something to learn. That's why these projects presented themselves. Just like you go to school and you get a project to learn about whatever, the history projects, the science project, because you're learning something. So she just calls these projects, or if it's something she feels she needed to do, she called it an assignment. And when you see anything about not just Helene, but any teacher out there, especially with the advent of AI and how quickly it is becoming a useful tool in our everyday lives, remember, it's a tool. You need to discern. She wrote about this in Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. And she said, I always stress that everyone should question everything, accept nothing on faith, and discern, discern, discern. I repeat it. So she's not wrong. And I think it's even more important that we do that now than ever before. So I hope that clears some things up about who Helene was and what she did on this earth, and cleared up the timeline a little bit. I don't have the timeline 100% correct. I did speak to Dyke about going over her Wikipedia page and making any corrections, but he said, if it's on the internet, it must be right, even though it isn't. So I haven't had anybody to ask, because everybody else is younger and don't know all the details, and everyone else has passed away. So we'll just have to discern about all the things we see about Helene. Now, if you want to see more family pictures, I also put some photo albums because I did have access to some family photos and was able to scan them and put them up online. And when I get another opportunity, I hope to be able to scan more pictures and make a more robust photo album for you to enjoy of the actual Hadsells and all the adventures they had in this life. If you have any further questions about Helene, you can write me at questions@wordsforwinning.com. To learn more about Helene, head over to wordsforwinning.com and read never before published stories, lost stories, and new stories about this remarkable woman. I also have a free meditation for you to download. So what are you waiting for? Head over there. And if you like videos like this, please like and subscribe so you never miss another interesting adventure.